these two, though, they're in the same position that Novak Djokovic was in earlier, that Casper Ruud was in yesterday. They technically have nothing to play for except for the 3 Ps: prize, points, and prize money. And that means a lot to these guys, particularly the doubles guys. There is nowhere near as much money sloshing around the doubles game as there is the singles. And these two have both focused on doubles for a very long time. So the tens of thousands of dollars that come with an extra match win, they matter. And of course, they can top the group as well with a win tonight. It's still very much up in the air, and spare a thought for Wesley Koolhof and Niels Skubsky, Annabelle, who got their job done earlier on, but now have to anxiously wait and watch.
Yeah, it's a horrible situation, that, isn't it? You just wonder whether they've just gone out for dinner, turned their phones off, and just not thinking about it for an hour at least. But maybe they'll be just checking their phones every 5 minutes and watching the score. Who knows how they're going to approach it? But just a horrible situation.
I think I would have to watch. I'd certainly, if anybody went out to dinner with me, I would be terrible company, that's for sure.
For tonight's match, we have the same as usual. Do you have any questions? And Nick, ATP? Or Nito? ATP? ATP. Receive. Have a good one.
So that was Nick Kyrgios and Thanasi Kokkinakis winning the toss and electing to receive. And if Greg were here, Annabelle, he'd be very confused by that.
Well, it's the second time I've seen them do that. Maybe they did that in their third match as well, I'm not sure. But I'm always surprised about that because they're both massive servers. This is a fast court. And you would think that, you know, with the nip and tuck situation, with deciding points and juices and the way that doubles is played these days, that if you're ahead in the scoreline and you're pressuring your opponent and you're holding serve comfortably, you know, you want to be ahead in the scoreline. So I'm always surprised. Maybe they're just going to go and try and get the early break, knowing that there might be some extra nerves. But I wouldn't think so. Mektic and Pavic have qualified already. So, you know, I'm not sure why they're always choosing to receive.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Especially on a court like this, as you say. Now, I really bigged up the reception that Kokkinakis and Kyrgios were going to get walking into the stadium. That was on the basis of the atmosphere that they created 2 nights ago, which was one of the biggest noises I've heard so far this week. It was a little disappointing, wasn't it? Maybe they need a bit of conducting this crowd from Nick Kyrgios.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have an aura, don't they? I mean, you even sense it standing here with them on the court. They're a big physical presence. They have a certain electricity about them. They're great mates. They've known each other since they were kids. They were playing juniors together back in 2013. You know, they won the Australian Open, and you just sense that they have something a little bit special about them. They are 2 singles players, obviously, as well, and they're dangerous. I mean, Nick Kyrgios is a massive star on the tour these days, isn't he? Particularly after what he's achieved this year, reaching the finals of Wimbledon. His sort of star quality and his stock has gone up tenfold, hasn't it, since he achieved that feat, getting to the final. And I think I always feel, Catherine, that he looks a little more comfortable and is embracing the pressure that's involved with the expectations on him as a player, with all his talent, and everyone knows what he's capable of. And I think he's struggled with that over the years, but now I think he's far more comfortable and he's actually enjoying it a bit more. I think he's liking himself a little bit more as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. There's definitely a lot of psychology, isn't there, going on with Nick Kyrgios. It's interesting that both these two guys, Kokkinakis and Kyrgios, have talked about how they feel they do have an extra target on their backs from the other guys being specialist doubles players and these two being perceived as the part-timers. I mean, there is a bit of needle, isn't there, between the specialist doubles guys and the singles guys that just turn their hand to doubles when they feel like it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's always a lot of talking points about that, but I think when you get 2 singles players on the court, if they're on fire, they're dialed in mentally. You know, when we see Andy Murray on court in doubles, you know, there's, you know, it's fascinating to watch how well he returns, the way he volleys, the use of the lob. You know, he does, and serving obviously on top of that. So, you know, you would expect singles players to be able to do a lot of really good things at an extremely high level. But then again, they're not always competing regularly week in and week out. I mean, these two, the Aussies, have only played 7 events this year, whereas Mektic and Pavic, we think about their achievements in the sport, 14 titles together as a team. Okay, they haven't been quite as successful this year. They've 5 titles in 2022 and finals of Wimbledon as well. But, you know, they're going to have to bring it and show what they're made of.
Yeah, and see if they can withstand kind of the will of Nick Kyrgios and Thanasi Kokkinakis, which was a force of nature 2 nights ago. Look, the Pala Alpha is filling up. I suspect the atmosphere will build and build as the match goes on. So without further ado, Annabelle and I are going to get out of Dodge. We've been hit a couple of times by tennis balls over the course of today. So let's cut our losses and hand over for the evening to Robbie and Nick. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Catherine. Thank you very much. And a wonderful evening of tennis in